on this every channel. We can catch it for breakfast.
See, that's nice of you to heal us. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Rama Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Rama Rama, Rama Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, 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 Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Yeah, but yeah, that's I was asked, but
What time are you going to read it in English?
yeah, he's here. I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry.
Yeah, just.
Yes, I can join you in here. One for you.
Yeah, thank you.
Krishna, Hare Krishna. You want the light?
No, not necessary.
Best light with the light then.
Huh? I put it on, yeah.
It's working?
Yeah, it's working. Just. Okay, good. But I don't know the rhythm, to sing properly. Huh? What should I do, the English or Sanskrit?
What do you prefer? English?
I'm a bit afraid of.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not with the Sanskrit, so that's why I'm not.
I can do it some other time. Okay, I'll do English.
So you can do 3 and I can do 3 verses.
Okay.
And then after the,
Will you start? Or,
which one is in this? So we are reading from the Bhagavad Gita. This is in the project of Chad, chapter a day, today from 1 until 36, and then we're going to go into verse number 23 with the purport. Sanjaya said, seeing Arjuna full of compassion, his mind depressed, his eyes full of tears, Madhusudan Krishna spoke the following words. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all befitting a man who knows the value of life. They lead not to higher planets, but to infamy. O son of Pritha, do not yield to this degrading impotence, it does not become you. Give up such petty weakness of heart and arise, O chastiser of the enemy. Arjuna said, O killer of enemies, O killer of Madhu, how can I counter-attack with arrows in battle? Men like Bhishma and Drona who are worthy of my worship. It would be better to live in this world by begging than to live in the cost of the lives of great souls, who are my teachers. Even though desiring worldly gain, they are superiors. If they are killed, everything we enjoy will be tainted with blood. Nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to leave, yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield. Now I'm confused about my duty and I've lost all composure. Huh? You want to read?
Yeah.
Oh, you want from me?
Yeah, because
It's too small.
nor do we know which is better, conquering them or being conquered by them. If we kill the sons of Dhritarashtra, we should not care to live. Yet they are now standing before us on the battlefield. Now I am confused about my duty and have lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I am asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and the soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. I can find no means to drive away this grief which is drying up my senses. I will not be able to dispel it even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth with sovereignty like the demigods in heaven. Sanjaya said, having spoken thus, Arjuna, chastiser of enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. O descendant of Bharata, at that time Krishna, smiling in the midst of both the armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and their disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O son of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed.
O best among men, Arjuna, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady both is certainly eligible for liberation. Those who are serious of the truth have concluded that of the non-existence, the material body, there is no endurance, and of the eternal, the soul, there is no change. This they have concluded by studying the nature of both. That which pervades the entire body you should know to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. The material body or the indestructible, immeasurable and eternal living entity is sure to come to an end. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharat. Neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge, nor the self slays nor is slain. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever-existing and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. O Partha, now how can I, a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn and immutable, kill anyone or cause anyone to kill?
As a person puts on new garments, giving up old ones, the soul similarly accepts new material bodies, giving up the old and useless ones. The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind. This individual soul is unbreakable and insoluble, and can be neither burnt nor dried. He is everlasting, present everywhere, unchangeable, immovable, and eternally the same. It is said that the soul is invisible, inconceivable, and immutable. Knowing this, you should not grieve for the body. If, however, you think that the soul or the symptoms of life is always born and dies forever, you still have no reason to lament, O mighty arm. One who has taken his birth is sure to die, and after that one is sure to take birth again. Therefore, in the unavoidable discharge of your duty you should not lament. All created beings are unmanifest in their beginning, manifest in their interim state, and unmanifest again when annihilated. So what need is there for lamentation? Some look on the soul as amazing, some describe him as amazing, and some hear of him as amazing, while others, even after hearing about him, cannot understand him at all. O descendant of Bharata, he who dwells in the body can never be slain, therefore you need not grieve for any living being. Considering your specific duty as a Kshatriya, you should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on religious principles, and so there is no need for hesitation. O Partha, happy are the Kshatriyas to whom such fighting opportunities come unsought, opening for them the doors of the heavenly planets. If, however, you do not perform your religious duty of fighting, then you will certainly incur sins for neglecting your duties and thus lose your reputation as a fighter. People will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectable person dishonor is worse than death. The great generals who have highly esteemed your name and fame will think that you have left the battlefield out of fear only, and thus they will consider you insignificant. Your enemies will describe you in many unkind words and scorn your ability. What could be more painful for you? At 28.
So which one?
Yeah, I'm at the end. Yeah, I'm finished. Yeah.
Yeah, you can read in the book, and I can, because I kind of divide it to questions. You know, so then it's like I cut it to small topics.
In the book?
Not in, I mean, the book it is just a purport, but then I put it in WhatsApp. So can you read the translation?
Translation?
Only translation.
The soul can never be cut to pieces by any weapon, nor burned by fire, nor moistened by water, nor withered by the wind.
So the first paragraph speaking which weapons cannot kill the spirit soul. Maybe you can.
I said? Yeah. Which weapons? Swords, flame weapons, rain weapons, tornado weapons, etc. are unable to kill the spirit soul.
I just cut it like this because it's more easy to remember.
Yeah,
Expression, yeah. Which kind of weapons were known and how they got counteracted?
Well, it appears that there were many kinds of weapons made of earth, water, air, ether, etc., in addition to the modern weapons of fire. Even the nuclear weapons of the modern age are classified as fire weapons, but formerly there were other weapons made of all different types of material elements. Firearms were counteracted by water weapons, which are now unknown to modern science. Nor do modern scientists have knowledge of tornado weapons. Nevertheless, the soul can never be cut.
So what can scientific devices do to the soul?
The soul can never be cut into pieces nor annihilated by any number of weapons, regardless of scientific devices.
What challenges the Mayavadi's explanation of the soul coming into existence? What is the correct understanding?
The Mayavadi cannot explain how the individual soul came into existence simply by ignorance and consequently became covered by illusory energy. Nor was it ever possible to cut the individual souls from the original Supreme Soul. Rather, the individual souls are eternally separated parts of the Supreme Soul. Because they are atomic individual souls eternally, Sanatana, they are prone to be covered by the illusory energy, and thus they become separated from the association of the Supreme Lord, just as the sparks of a fire, all the one in quality with the fire, are prone to be extinguished when out of the fire. In the Varaha Purana, the living entities are described as separated parts and parcels of the Supreme. They are eternally so, according to the Bhagavad Gita also. So even after being liberated from illusion, the living entity remains a separate identity, so as is evident from the teachings of the Lord to Arjuna. Arjuna became liberated by the knowledge received from Krishna, but he never became one with Krishna.
So this is like the contract. No, this is the Elohim.
This
This
is
is the contract, the alliance of the impersonalists, that they say after liberation become one. And then
Yeah.
So that never happened. It is not.
Yeah, okay.
So we're always separating. This is what Krishna, this is what the last part of the speaking.
We missed the question in between.
No, the question was
Yeah.
done, and then it
Yeah.
was the end of the purport, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, because Prabhupada is always very much.
Yeah, concerned with Mayavadi
Mayavadi
understanding.
philosophy,
Yeah. Of course, that how the individual soul came into existence, we cannot.
So it's eternally individual.
Eternally, yeah, some of them. Yeah.
Now they have the chat class, and there are verses which are from Srimad Bhagavatam, especially 10, and you can read that. So 10:33, 39. Okay, 10:29, 15. 10:29, 15.
Verses which are.
This is one of the chamber. They call it Chant Plus. This chapter was.
Other gopis entirely stopped their sensory activities and became fixed in meditation on Krishna. They lost all awareness of the external world, just like those who attain the platform of self-realization. The gopis were in fact already on the platform of self-realization. The Chaitanya Charitamrita states, Jivara Swarupa Hoy Krishnara Nityadas. The self or individual soul is an eternal servant of Krishna. Thus, because they were rendering the most intense loving service to the Lord, the gopis were situated at the highest stage of self-realization.
It's connected
To
to
the-
the topic. Yeah, you can go to the next one.
Okay. Here. Okay. And still other young women fainted simply by remembering the words of Lord Shauri Krishna, Shauri. These are words decorated with wonderful phrases and expressed with affectionate smiles would deeply touch the young girls' hearts. Okay. The gopis were frightened at the prospect of even the briefest separation from Lord Mukunda. So now, as they remembered his graceful guide, his pastimes, his affectionate, smiling glances, his heroic deeds, and his joking words, which would relieve their distress, they were beside themselves with anxiety at the thought of the great separation about to come. They gathered in groups and spoke to one another, their faces covered with tears and their minds fully absorbed in Achyuta. comment? The gopis said, "O Providence, you have no mercy. You bring embodied creatures together in friendship and love and then senselessly separate them before they fulfill their desires. This whimsical play of yours is like a child's game. Having shown us Mukunda's face, framed by dark locks and beautiful by his fine cheeks, raised nose and gentle smiles which eradicate all misery, you are now making that face invisible. This behavior of yours is not at all good. O Providence, though you come here with the name Akrura, you are indeed cruel, for like a fool you are taking away what you once gave us. Those eyes with which we have seen, even in one feature of Lord Madhudvisha's form, the perfection of your entire creation." The gopis did not care to see anything but Krishna. Therefore, if Krishna left Vrindavan, their eyes would have no function. Thus Krishna's departure was blinding these poor girls, and in their distress they berated Akrura, whose name means not cruel, as cruel indeed. Alas, Nanda's son, who breaks loving friendships in a second, will not even look directly at us. Forcibly brought under his control, we abandoned our homes, relatives, children, and husband just to serve him, but he is always looking for new lovers. The dawn following this night will certainly be auspicious for the women of Mathura. All their hopes will now be fulfilled, for as the Lord of Raja enters their city, they will be able to drink from his face the nectar of the smile emanating from the corners of his eyes. O Gopis, although our Mukunda is intelligent and very obedient to his parents, once he has fallen under the spell of the honey-sweet words of the women of Mathura and been enchanted by their alluring shy smiles, how will he ever return to us, unsophisticated village girls? When the Dasharhas, Bojas, Andakas, Vrishins, and Sattvatas see the son of Devaki in Mathura, they will certainly enjoy a great festival for their eyes, as will all those who see him traveling, along the road of the city. After all, he is the darling of the goddess of fortune and the reservoir of all transcendental qualities. He who is doing this merciless deed should not be called Akrura. He is so extremely cruel that without even trying to console the sorrowful residents of Raja, he is taking away Krishna, who is more dear to us than life itself. Hard-hearted Krishna has already mounted the chariot, and now the foolish cowherds are hurrying after him in their bullock carts. Even the elders are saying nothing to stop him. Today fate is working against us. Srila Sridhar Swami reveals what the gopis taught. These foolish coward men and elders are not even trying to stop Krishna. Then don't they realize they are committing suicide? They are helping Krishna go to Mathura, but they will have to come back to Vrindavan and will certainly die in his absence. The whole world has become nonsensical. Let us directly approach Madhava and stop him from going. What can our family elders and other relatives do to us? Now that fate is separating us from Mukunda, our hearts are already wretched, for we cannot bear to give up his association even for a fraction of a second. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti describes what the gopis taught. Let us go right up to Krishna and pull at his clothes and hands and insist that he get down from his chariot and stay here with us. We will tell him, don't bring upon yourself the sinful reaction for murdering so many women. But if we do that, said other gopis, our relatives and the village elders will discover our secret love for Krishna and abandon us. But what can they do to us? Yes, our lives are already wretched now that Krishna is leaving. We have nothing to lose. Okay. That's right. We will remain in the Vrindavan forest just like presiding goddesses, and then we can fulfill our true desire to stay with Krishna in the forest. Yes, and even if the elders and our relatives punish us by beating us or locking us up, we can still live happily with the knowledge that Krishna is residing in our village. Some of our girlfriends who are not in prison will cleverly find a way to bring us the remnants of Krishna's food, and then we can remain alive. But if Krishna is not stopped, we will certainly die.
Ratna Sina Sani.
baje, mother baje, mother, mother, mother baje. Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Nitai Gora Haribo. Bahu Koti Chandra Jini Vadna Ujvala. Bahu Koti Chandra Jini Vadna Ujvala. Radhadesh Vandamala Kore Jalamala Radhadesh Vandamala Kore Jalamala. Shiva Shukan Dana Mana Loba Gaurangera Rotik Shobha Jagadana Mana Loba Oh Jagadana Mana Loba Jagadana Mana Loba Nitai Gora Haribo 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 Nitai Gora Haribo 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 Nitai Gora Haribo Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pishaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanti Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatyare Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shiva Sari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Nityananda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासि गौर श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंद राधा कुंज श्री गोवर्धन की गंगा माए की माए की भक्ति देव की रानी की श्री मायापुर की धाम की धाम की श्री गौरिताय की बलदेव माता की श्री राधा गोपीनाथ की श्री ललिता श्री शाखा देवी की श्री गिरि गोवर्धन की अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru Krishna, all glories to Sri Prabhupada.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Pralada Lada Daine. Pralada Lada Daine. Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha. Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha. Shilatankan khalaye. O Shilatankan khalaye. Iton Shringo Paraton Shringo. Iton Shringo Paraton Shringo. Yato Yato Yamitaton Shrimo. Yato Yato Yamitaton Shrimo. Bahir Shringo Hridayen Shringo. Bahir Shringo Hridayen Shringo. Nrsimhamadim Saranam Prapade. Nrsimhamadim Saranam Prapade. Tav Kar Kamalavare Nakham Adbhuta Shringa. Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tano Bringa. Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Jai Jagadish Hare. Nrsimhadev, Jayo Nrsimhadev. Jayo Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jayo Prahlad Maharaj. Prabhupada, 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 Jayo Jayo Prabhupada. Jayo Jayo Prabhupada, 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 Jayo Jayo Prabhupada. श्री नरसिंह भगवान की, श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की, गौर प्रेमानंदे।
Hare Krishna book is also Kirtan, so we do it for Krishna. First sing the invocation. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. Which one? So we are reading from Krishna book. Chapter is called Talks Between Krishna and Rukmini. And the page is 538. So what's happening is Krishna wanted to tease Rukmini a little bit, because she's always very nice, very composed. She has so many excellent qualities, and she's always very sweet to him. And so he wants to tease her and to enjoy her irritability, like to spice things up. And so, but whatever he tells her, she just doesn't mind, because she's just so sweet. So then he starts speaking about himself, and he says, "Oh, you know, I'm nothing. I'm nobody, and nobody knows if I'm supposed to be. I'm not a prince. I'm supposed to be a cowherd boy." And okay, he says, in comparison with all the other princes, Hare Krishna, Hare Paul. They are all so much better than me, and what are you doing here with me? We zijn net begonnen. Ja, pagina 538. Another fault is, I just read a little bit from the end of the previous page. Another fault is that although I am on the throne of Dwarka, I have no immediate claim. Although I got the kingdom by killing my maternal uncle Kamsa. The kingdom was to go to my grandfather. So actually, I have no possession of a kingdom. Besides that, I have no fixed aim in life. People cannot understand me very well. What is the ultimate goal of my life? They know very well that I was a cowherd boy in Vrindavan. People expected that I would follow in the footsteps of my foster father, Nanda Maharaj, and be faithful to Srimati Radharani and all her friends in the village of Vrindavan. But all of a sudden, I left him. I wanted to become a famous prince. Still, I couldn't have any kingdom, nor could I rule as a prince. People are bewildered about my ultimate goal of life. They do not know whether I'm a cowherd boy or a prince, whether I'm the son of Nanda Maharaj or the son of Vasudeva. Because I have no fixed aim in life, people may call me a vagabond. Therefore, I'm surprised that you could select such a vagabond husband. Besides this, I'm not very much polished, even in social etiquette. A person should be satisfied with one wife, but you see that I have married many times, and I have more than 16,000 wives. I cannot please all of them as a polished husband. My behavior with them is not very nice, and I know that you are very conscious of it. I sometimes create a situation with my wives which is not very happy. Because I was trained in a village in my childhood, I am not well acquainted with the etiquette of urban life. I do not know the way to please a wife with nice words and behavior. And from practical experience, it is found that any woman who follows my way or becomes attracted to me is ultimately left to cry for the rest of her life. Hare Krishna. In Vrindavan, many gopis were attracted to me, and now I've left them, and they're living by simply crying for me in separation. I've heard from Akrura and Uddhava that since I left Vrindavan, all my cowherd boyfriends, the gopis and Radharani, and my foster father, Nanda Maharaj, are simply crying constantly for me. I've left Vrindavan for good and am now engaged with the queens of Dwarka, but I'm not well behaved with any of you. So you can very easily understand
that I have no steadiness of character. I'm not a very reliable husband. The net result of being attracted to me is to acquire a life of bereavement only. My dear beautiful princess, you may also know that I am always penniless. Just after my birth, I was carried penniless to the house of Nanda Maharaj, and I was raised just like a cowherd boy. Although my foster father possessed many hundreds of thousands of cows, I wasn't the proprietor of even one of them. I was simply entrusted with taking care of them and tending them, but I wasn't the proprietor. Here also, I am not the proprietor of anything, but I am always penniless. There is no cause to lament for such a penniless condition. I possessed nothing in the past, so why should I lament that I do not possess anything at present? You may note also that my devotees are not very opulent. They are also very poor in worldly goods. Persons who are very rich, possessing worldly wealth, are not interested in devotion to me or Krishna consciousness. On the contrary, when a person becomes penniless, whether by force or by circumstances, he may become interested in me if he gets the proper opportunity. Persons who are proud of their riches, even if they are offered association with my devotees, do not take advantage of consciousness of me. In other words, the poor class of men may have some interest in me, but rich men have no interest. I think, therefore, that your selection of me wasn't very intelligent. You appear very intelligent, trained by your father and brother. But ultimately, you have made a great mistake in selecting your life's companion. But there is no harm. The mistake can still be rectified, and it is better late than never. You are at liberty to select a suitable husband who is actually unequal to you in opulence, family tradition, wealth, beauty, education, in all respects. Whatever mistakes you may have made may be forgotten. Now you may chalk out your own lucrative path of life. Usually, a person doesn't establish a marital relationship with a person who is either higher or lower than his position. My dear daughter of the king of Vidarbha, I think you didn't consider very sagaciously before your marriage.
Those you made a wrong selection by choosing me as your husband. You mistakenly heard about my having very exalted character, although factually I was nothing more than a beggar. Without seeing me and my actual position, simply by hearing about me, you selected me as your husband. That was not very rightly done. Therefore, since it is better late than never, I advise you now select one of the great Kshatriya princes accept him as your life companion, and you may reject me. Krishna was proposing that Rukmani divorce him at a time when Rukmani already had many grown-up children. Therefore, Krishna's whole proposition appeared to be something unaccepted, because according to the Vedic culture, there was no such thing as separation of husband and wife by divorce. Nor was it possible for Rukmani to choose a new husband at her advanced age. When she had many married sons, to Rukmani, every one of Krishna's proposal appeared crazy and She was surprised that Krishna could say such things. Simply as she was, her anxiety was increasing more and more at the thought of separation from Krishna. Krishna continued, "After all, you have to prepare yourself for your next life. I therefore advise that you select someone who can help you in both this life and next, for I am completely unable to help. My dear beautiful princess, you know that all the members of the priestly order included Shivshupal, Salva, Yarasandha, Dantavakta, and even your elder brother Rukmi are my enemies. They do not like me at all. They hate me from the core of their hearts. All these princes were very much puffed up with their worldly possessions and didn't care a fig for anyone who came before them. In order to teach them some lesson, I agreed to kidnap you according to your desire. Otherwise, I actually have no love for you, although you love me even before the marriage. As I have already explained, I am not very much interested in family life or love between husband and wife. By nature, I am not very fond of family life, wife, children, home, and opulence. As my devotees are always neglectful and all these worldly possessions, I am also like that. Actually, I am interested in self-realization that gives me pleasure and not this family life. After submitting his statement, Lord Krishna suddenly stopped. The great authorities Sukadeva Goswami remarks that Krishna almost always passed his time with Rukmani, and Rukmani was a bit proud to be so fortunate that Krishna never left her even for a moment. Krishna, however, doesn't like any of his devotees to be proud. As soon as a devotee becomes so by some tactic, he cuts down that pride. In this case also, Krishna said many things which were hard for Rukmani to hear. So she could only conclude that although she was proud of her position, Krishna could be separated from her at any moment. Rukmani was conscious that her husband wasn't an ordinary human being. He was the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Master of the three worlds. By the way he was speaking, she was afraid of being separated from the Lord, for she had never heard such harsh words from Krishna before. Thus she became perplexed with fear of separation, and her heart began to palpitate. Without replying to a word of Krishna's statement, she simply cried in great anxiety as if drowning in an ocean of grief. She silently scratched the floor with her toenails, which reflected reddish light on the floor. The tears from her eyes mixed with her black cosmetic ointments from her eyelids and dropped down, washing the kumkuma and the saffron from her wrists. Choked up on account of great anxiety, unable to speak even a word, she kept her head downward and remained standing just like a stick. To the extremely painful fear and lamentation, she lost all her powers of volition and became weak, her body losing so much weight that the bangles on her wrist became slunk. The chamara with which she was serving Krishna immediately fell from her hand. Her brain and memory became puzzled and she lost consciousness. The nicely combed hair on her head skirted her and there, and she fell down straight like a banana tree cut down by the whirlwind. Lord Krishna immediately realized that Rukmani had not taken his word in a joking spirit.
She had taken them very seriously, and in her extreme anxiety over immediate separation from him, she had fallen into this condition. Lord Sri Krishna is naturally very affectionate toward his devotees, and when he saw Rukmini's condition, his heart immediately softened. At once he became merciful to her. The relationship between Rukmini and Krishna was like that between Lakshmi and Narayan. Therefore, Krishna appeared before Rukmini in his four-handed manifestation of Narayan. He got down from the bedshed, lifted her up by her hands, and placing his cooling hands on her face, smoothed the scattered hair on her head. Lord Krishna dried the wet breasts of Rukmini ji with his hand. Understanding the seriousness of Rukmini's love for him, he embraced her to his chest. The Supreme Personality is expert in putting a thing seriously for one's understanding. And thus he tried to retract all that he had said before. He is the only resort for all devotees, and so he knows very well how to satisfy his pure devotees. Krishna understood that Rukmini could not follow the statements he had made in a joking way. To counteract her confusion, he spoke as follows. My dear daughter of King Vidarbha, my dear Rukmini, please do not misunderstand me. Don't be unkind to me like this. I know that you are sincerely and seriously attached to me. You are my eternal companion. The words which have affected you so much are not factual. I wanted to irritate you a bit, and I was expecting you to make counter answers to those joking words. Unfortunately, you have taken them seriously. I am very sorry for it. I expected that your red lips would tremble in anger when you heard my statement, and that you would chastise me with many words. Oh, perfection of love, I never expected that your condition would be like this. I expected that you would cast your blinking glance upon me in retaliation, and that I would thus be able to see your beautiful face in that angry mood. My dear beautiful wife, you know that because we are householders, we are always busy in many household affairs and long for a time when we can enjoy some joking words between us. That is our ultimate gain in household life. Actually, householders work very hard day and night, but all fatigue of the day's labor is minimized as soon as they meet, husband and wife together, and enjoy life in many ways. Lord Krishna wanted to exhibit himself as being like an ordinary householder who delights himself by exchanging joking words with his wife. He therefore repeatedly requested Rukmini not to take those words very seriously. In this way, when Lord Krishna pacified Rukmini by his sweet words, she could understand that what he had formally said was not actually meant seriously, but was spoken to evoke some joking pleasure between themselves. She was therefore pacified by hearing the words of Krishna. Gradually, she was freed from all fear of separation from him, and she began to look at his face very cheerfully with her naturally smiling face. She said, "My dear lotus-eyed Lord, your statement that we are not a fit combination is completely right. It is not possible for me not to come to an equal level with you, for you are the reservoir of all qualities, the unlimited Supreme Personality of Godhead. How can I be a fit match for you? There is no possibility of comparison with you, who are the master of all greatness, the controller of the three qualities, and the object of worship for great demigods like Brahma and Lord Shiva. As far as I am concerned, I am a product of the three modes of material nature, which impede the progressive advancement of devotional service. When and where can I be a fit match for you? My dear husband, you have rightly said that you have taken shelter in the water of the sea, as if you were afraid of the kings. But who are the kings of this material world? I do not think that the so-called royal families are kings of the material world. The kings of the material world are the three modes of material nature, who are actually its controllers. You are situated in the core of everyone's heart, where you remain completely aloof from the touch of the three modes of material nature. And there is no doubt about it. You say you always maintain enmity with the worldly kings. But who are the worldly kings? I think the worldly kings are the senses.
They are most formidable and they control everyone. Certainly, you maintain enmity with these material senses. You are never under the control of the senses. Rather, you are the controller of the senses. Rishikesh, my dear Lord, you have said that you are bereft of all royal power, and that is also correct. Not only are you bereft of supreme over the material world, but even your servants, those who have some attachment to your lotus feet, also give up supremacy over the material world, because they consider the material position to be the darkness region, which checks the progress of material enlightenment. Your servants do not like material supremacy. Supremacy. Nee, wat staat er? Supremacy. So, what to speak of you, my dear Lord? Your statement that you do not act as an ordinary person with his particular aim in life is also perfectly correct. Even your great devotees and servants, knows as great sage and saintly person, remain in such a state that no one can get any clue as to the aim of their lives. Human society consider them crazy and cynical. Their aim of life remains a mystery to the common human being. The lowest of mankind can know neither you nor your servants. A contaminated human being cannot even imagine the pastime of you and your devotees. O unlimited one, when the activities and the force of your devotees remain a mystery to the common human being, how can your motives and the verse be understood by them? All kinds of energy and appearances are engaged in your service, but still they rest at your shelter. You have described it yourself as penniless, but the condition is no poverty, since there is nothing in existence but you do not need to possess anything. You yourself are everything. Unlike others, you do not require to purchase anything externally. With you are contrary, things can be adjusted because you are absolute. You do not possess anything, but no one is richer than you. In the material world, no one can be rich without possessing. Since your lordship is absolute, you can adjust the contradiction of possessing nothing, but at the same time being the richest. In the Vedas, it is stated that although you have no material hands and legs, you accept everything offered in devotion by the devotees. You have no material eyes and ears, but still you can see and hear everything everywhere. Although you do not possess anything, the great demigod who accepts prayers and worship from others come and worship you to solicit your mercy. How can be categorized among the poor? My dear Lord, you have also stated that the richest section of human society does not worship you. This is also correct, because persons who are puffed up with material possession think of utilizing their property for sense gratification. When a poverty-stricken man becomes rich, he makes a program for sense gratification due to his ignorance of how to utilize his hard-earned money. Under the spell of the external energy, he thinks that his money is properly employed in sense gratification, and thus he neglects to render you transcendental service. My dear Lord, you have stated that persons who possess nothing are very dear to you. Renouncing everything, your devotee wants to possess you only. I see, therefore, that a great sage like Narad Muni, who does not possess any material property, is still very dear to you. And such persons do not care of anything but your lordship. My dear Lord, you have stated that in marriage between persons equal in social standing, beauty, riches, strength, influence, and renunciation can be suitable match. But this status of life can be possible only by your grace. You are the supreme personal source of all opulence. Whatever opulent station one may have is all derived from you. As described in the Vedanta Sutra, Janamada Asya Yata, you are the supreme source from which everything emanates, the reserve of all pleasure. Therefore, persons endowed with knowledge desire only to achieve you and nothing else. To achieve you favor, they give up everything, even the transcendental realization of Brahman. You are the supreme ultimate goal of life. You are the reservoir of all interest of the living entities. Those who are actually well motivated desire only you, and for this reason they give up everything to attain success.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Nitai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Nitai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Haribol.
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Bolo, everyone, Haribo! Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Gurudev. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Jai Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe Jai Jai Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe Jai Jai Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe Jai Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jagannatha, Jaya Jagannatha, Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra. Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Shri Jaya Giri Govardhan 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Nita Gora Haribo 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 Nita Gora Haribo Haribo Nita Gora Haribo 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 Nita Gora Haribo
Namaste Narasimhaya Namaste Narasimhaya Prahlad Lad Daine Prahlad Lad Daine Hiranyakashipurvakshah Hiranyakashipurvakshah Shilatankan khalaye Shilatankan khalaye Iton Shingo Paraton Shingo Iton Shingo Paraton Shingo Yato Yato Yamita Ton Shingo Yato Yato Yamita Ton Shingo Bahyen Shingo Hridayen Shingo Bahyen Shingo Hridayen Shingo Nrsimhamadim Saranam Prapade Nrsimhamadim Saranam Prapade Tavakara Kamalavare Nakha Adbhuta Shringa Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tano Bringa Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadish Hare Jai Jagadish Hare जयो जगदीश हरे नर हरि रूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव 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 जय नरसिंहदेव जयो प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जयो प्रहलाद महाराज प्रभुपाद 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 जयो जयो प्रभुपाद जयो जयो प्रभुपाद 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 जयो जयो प्रभुपाद श्री नरसिंह भगवान की श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की गौर प्रेमानंदे।